What's happening, YouTube? It's Trev. All right, here we go. It is update time, and I am going to try to keep this as concise as I possibly can. So we had our second sprint planning meeting with the L1 task force, and let me just go over with you some things that are here. Everybody can look at this, okay? This is the GitHub. It's public information. You can see the address up in the top left-hand corner. If you want to, you just type that into your browser and it'll bring you right to this. This is what they work on in the morning. When we get into these meetings, these little squares are all over the place. A lot of them are in the backlog. And then basically they're deciding, okay, during this 2 weeks, a sprint is 2 weeks, right? During this 2 weeks, what is it exactly we want to work on? What goes in this column? What goes in that column, right? So this morning we started off with a lot of these things over in the backlog column, and a lot of them got moved over. Now, these little color-coded tabs are very valuable to you because you can see what the thing that they're working on, what it's really about, okay? So this is an enhancement. Most of them are enhancements, okay? This particular one, we'll get to it, is a bug. But also pay attention to what is in scope and what is out of scope. And this is referring to basically, the work that they said they were going to be doing, and that was already put forth within the proposal, okay? So we are, again, in our second sprint planning 2-week process, and a lot of the work has already been done. They're actually kind of running out of in-scope work to do. And if you look at this, and this is, the end result of what's going to happen over the next 2 weeks, and you count up how many things are actually in-scope work, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then this actually is in review. If you want to count that 2, that's 6. This here, I can tell you, isn't even going to happen anytime soon, right? So 6 in-scope things and almost just as much out-of-scope things. Now, the out-of-scope stuff, some of it is, as you're working on stuff, you realize you have to do this or you have to do that to make other things happen, right? And so they may not have been included in the proposal, but there's still things that, need to be taken care of. Sometimes it's things that you just kind of want to take care of, right? It's a convenient time to do it. All right, so let me just go through some of this stuff. And I took copious notes this morning, so I'm going to try to keep this as brief as I can, and I'm going to try to make sure that I don't misquote anything. But if you have any questions, put your questions in the comment section. Any comments, leave it in the comment section, because we really want to keep the lines of communication between the community and this team open. And there's Twitter and there's all these things, but this is another way that you can do it, okay? All right, so this assess the viability of using Cosmo Visor for future chain upgrades. When they talked about this, they said that it's something that definitely needs to be done. It just doesn't need to be done right now. And I'm actually surprised to still see it on this backlog, because they said something about moving it to a main backlog where, when they really run out of stuff, they'll go and say, all right, yeah, we should get that done now, right? So that's nothing that's going to happen right now. Develop on-ramp for Station Wallet. This is something we will talk about in a minute, okay? All right, so if you go to the ready column, and these are the things that are ready to go, implement, let me go to the top here. All right, okay, there was actually more in-scope stuff to count, I'm sorry. Create governance proposal for 50% of the burn tax and 50% treasury burn wallet. We're going to be seeing some governance proposals and some proposals that are put up on Agora. We're going to be seeing a handful of them this week. So you're going to keep your eye out for these things, particularly the ones that are on Agora. You want to go to them. You want to read through them, leave your comments, read through the other comments that are there. A lot of people list what the pros and cons are and weigh them out, and it really helps you to understand what it is these guys are trying to do, okay? The stuff that obviously goes up for vote, you want to be as educated about it as you possibly can, and then vote, vote your conscience. Don't vote somebody else's conscience or somebody else's idea. I say this all the time, right? Don't go by what somebody else thinks is a good idea. Try to form your own opinion. And if you don't have an opinion on it, maybe you don't vote, right? We want these votes to be accurate, and we want them to be educated votes. Okay. Classic number 5. This is in scope. Considers it to be urgent. This is the IAVL 0.19.4. This is an urgent thing that, it's got to get done. and create Agora governance proposal for the MEV Tendermint. You're going to look for this one from Zaradar. He's going to be writing this one and submitting it, I would imagine, over the next couple of days. You'll see it come up on Agora. Jacob weighed in on this one and said that this is a security issue, right? And he's used this MEV Tendermint before with zero problems. So again, educate yourself and make your own decision on it, and get involved in the communications about it. But this already has kind of an endorsement from Jacob. He's used it, and it's a good idea as far as he's concerned. All right, so this will be for governance. Implement Oracle TX support in Cosmos XDK version 0.45.11. This is an enhancement, and it is in scope work. Research updating to canonical version of Tendermint. This is a high priority that they're considering. It's an extra large, so it's a big process. Okay, it will be an enhancement, and it is in scope work. This is something that they've decided to take on over this next couple weeks. Create Finder for testnet. And this is a project that Ed will be taking on. It doesn't seem to be a particularly big project and of medium importance. And it's actually out of scope work, but something that they decided that is probably a good idea to get done, and they can get it done now. Governance proposal for the COSM-WASM version 0.16.6 to the version 1.1.1. They've decided to put that into to do that this week, right? The governance proposal for it. So it's going to have to be voted on. There has been some back and forth about it. Not everybody thinks that it's perfect or it's the greatest idea. This will be one that I don't think we'll see go through with, an overwhelming 99% vote like we've seen some of the other things that they submit. But I think we'll see this one pass. I don't know. Pay attention to it, read up on it, and get prepared to vote on it. I know that a lot of things that are waiting to happen on the chain are waiting for some of these updates to go down first, okay? The chain needs to be updated before a lot of this stuff happens. Now, this last thing is a bug, right? A potential bug or a bug, right? And it says test Columbus 5 Genesis import. Now, this was something that was raised by Jacob Kadikian. And basically, he was asking if it is possible to sync via the Genesis, right? And some people thought it was, some people thought it wasn't. There was a little back and forth about that, okay? Let me actually go to my notes so that I get this. So Jacob feels that if you can't verify the cryptographic integrity of the chain, then you've got a major problem, okay? And there was some talk about basically using the QuickSync snapshot, and where most people use the QuickSync snapshot, the validators. So this was the whole thing, right? This isn't necessarily an L1 task force problem. And Zaradar's position was that, well, is this something that we should be worrying about? Because it really pertains to the validators and something that they should be concerned with. And even if you cannot sync using the Genesis and you're using this other sync snapshot, right? There is a workaround. New validators can come on and can get online and can get working. So how much of a priority actually is this, right? Well, Jacob pushed the issue because he felt that it was a major security concern, where one thing could go wrong that could really screw up the chain, right? So what they've decided to do is that several of them, I believe 3 of them separately, are going to run a test on this today. They're going to see about syncing using the Genesis, and there was something else that they said about it, and I want to make sure that I have everything for you. I'm sorry. Just give me a second. All right, yeah, so when they run the test, to sync from Genesis, including block verification. That was something that they really wanted to point out, right? So what they're going to do is they're going to run this test and see what happens. I think it was Lunkburn Army who said that he had actually done this at one time, and it worked fine for a few days, but then it blew up on them. So knowing that, they really want to get this tested because that really determines the seriousness level, I guess, of this. If they run this test and it actually does blow up after a few days or whatever it is, it's something a little more significant. Right now, they're not positive what the significance is. Jacob seems to be positive, but maybe some of the other ones don't think it's something that they should really worry about. So here's what's going to happen, though. If this is something that the task force takes on, I guess it's very time consuming to work out a fix for this. And when we talked about being way ahead of schedule, this is something that could potentially use up quite a bit of resources, time, and finances, right? Which we've already kind of funded them. So they want to get the conclusion of this testing so that they can bring this to the community and say, all right, well, this is how we feel about it. We could work on it for you if we want. The validators might want them to work on it. We could work on it, but does the community want to allocate the funding and the time toward this, right? However, if they find that it blew up and it's a bigger problem than maybe they thought that it was, or the bigger problem that Jacob thinks it is, then they can come to the community with that information, right? We're going to keep our eyes open on this one. If you have any feelings about this one, any thoughts about this, again, leave it in the comment section and we'll chat about it, all right? I had to go to the end of my notes for that because that was actually talked about at the end of the meeting, all right? All right, let's move on. The in-progress stuff. Feature backport, the minimal initial deposit. This is an enhancement. It is out of scope work, and this is actually happening now, in-progress stuff. Test and upgrade the IBC denom whitelist. Medium importance. It is actually in scope work, things that they said they were going to do. Create Agora governance proposal for no canonical GitHub. Now, this was something that we knew was going to happen. It's of medium importance and medium workload. It is a governance thing that we're going to have to vote on. Again, look to Agora for this one so that we can chat about it. Now, this one they have as a draft, and I'm actually surprised to see this as a draft. I think we'll probably see this not be a draft shortly, but it's to deploy the version 1.0.5 to the validators, to the exchanges, and to the the full nodes. There was a question on this one. Let me see if I can find it in my notes. I guess somebody had raised a question about this on Twitter. Yeah, okay. Somebody raised a question to Zaradar about this one on Twitter about whether there was a problem with the estimate calculation, right? And, he brought it up to Ed, and Ed really didn't even know what this person, whoever it was that brought up this issue, might be talking about. There was no issue as far as he was concerned. Everything was working fine. And so that was that. So if you have any other information about that or questions about that, again, leave them in the comment section and I can get them to these guys and we can address it. But as far as everyone knows and is concerned, this version 1.0.5 is done and good and ready to go. Okay. And the other stuff in review, pull request kind of stuff. Let me make sure I didn't. No, I didn't. All right. So, with the task force being way ahead of schedule, what they've turned their attention to is possibly some things that are going to be kind of the sexy stuff, right? That we've talked about in previous interviews and videos, okay? A lot of this stuff is kind of mundane and boring to most of us, as essential as it is, right, to update the chain and have the chain strong so that we can bring in all the layer 2 stuff and build, utility, all that, right? We get that. But this is the foundational stuff that you don't really see. And like I said, it's not really the sexy stuff. Well, if they complete all the sexy stuff, what they've said is, we've got the time, we're funded for the quarter. What of the community's interests can we bring in and work on for them, right? and which is really cool. So one of the things that came up, the first thing that came up was actually this proposal 5966 for the buy button, which was submitted by Matthew Perry and went up for a text proposal and was voted yes, right, by the community. So this is something. This is something, and this type of thing is what the team might be looking to work on when there's extra time. If they get all of the other work done, now they can work on some of this other stuff for us. I think that's really, really cool because, they could sit back and say, we finished everything that we said we were going to finish. We did tell you that, you were getting a bargain with the funding for this round, right? We're finished with it, so we're going to kick up our heels a little bit right now and kind of chill. But instead they said, no, you know what? We agreed to that amount of funding for that amount of time, and if we finish the work, we're going to get some other things done for the community, some value add kind of stuff, some things that, just the cookies, right? The stuff that the community wants that would benefit them. So there could be an opportunity here, right? Now, I don't want everybody rushing to all of these guys, and inundating them in their Twitters and in their DMs and everywhere with every idea that everybody has. Oh, can you work on this? Can you work on that? Can you work on that? Right? Look at the way Matt did it. Matt had an idea. He put together a proposal, right? Probably had never put together a proposal before. Was it as professional and as some of the proposals we see? No. But he got the idea across adequately so that it could be discussed, right? Some kinks could be worked out. He moved it to Terra Station where he actually put it up for a vote and it was voted yes. That's the process, right? That's the right process. And I would say that, just the random ideas that are out there, if they're really good ideas, they might get some attention. But if you really want to get attention, go through the proper steps, right? If you put together a proposal, you put it on Agora, you work out the kinks with the rest of the community, and then when you think it's ready to go, you put it up for a text proposal and get a vote on it. And if it's voted yes, I think, this is just me, I think that is going to get the attention of this team as far as something that they can work on if there is extra time to work on things, right? Now, also, I want to say, understand clearly that just because right now it seems they are way ahead of schedule and there might be time to even work on some out of scope and some sexy stuff, right? That can change on a dime. Working on a blockchain, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there can be some major problem that all of a sudden needs to be handled. Nobody saw it coming. And, you can go from thinking you've got all the time in the world to, we got a couple things left to do, and I don't know how we're going to do it because we need to handle this immediately, right? So just be aware of that. If everything goes smoothly, then yeah, they can work on some other things. But they're also got their eyes open for bugs and for all this other stuff that might require attention, okay? All right. That kind of wraps it up. Hit the like button for me if you could on your way out. Hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed. And again, leave comments in the comment section. All these things work with the YouTube algorithm and help YouTube to actually push this information out to as much of the community as we can. And that's the whole goal here, right? So, all right, I got to go here and here and here, and there's me. All right. So that's it for now. If anything else comes up, the results of those tests, anything, I will get that information to you as soon as I can. Keep an eye on Twitter. Twitter's quite active last couple of days, right? But I have no doubt that we'll eventually get all this stuff ironed out. All right, guys, I'll talk to you soon. Ciao.